So, do you want to increase your results? I mean, most people are saying yes or heck yes. I mean, who doesn't want to get better results in their life with their money or their business? Now, what if I told you that you could increase your results by 500% simply by taking one action? Now, I'm sure some of you are thinking, oh my gosh, she's gone off the deep end. There's no way. But I want you to bear with me because the impact this training is going to have on you if you make this one change is going to change the trajectory of your life, your money, your business. So please stay tuned. So hello and welcome. I'm Annette Bau, host of the Millionaire Insider and the upcoming Wealth Inside and Out podcast. For over 30 years, I've been advising and researching the top 1% and 2% of millionaires to learn how super successful people do things differently. And now I'm providing you practical, easy to implement insights so you can create a richer and more fulfilling life. So before we dive in, please remember to click subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified of bonus episodes as well as future episodes. For today's show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/204. For all show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/WLI. So let's dive into increasing results with integrity, how to increase your success. Today's episode is brought to you by the 7 principles of becoming a fulfilled and wealthy millionaire. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com. That's THE, millionaireiinsider.com/7PB. Each chapter is going to provide you insight on what you can do to really create both a fulfilling life as well as a wealthy life. And it's from my 30 plus years of researching and advising the top 1% and 2% of millionaires. It's amazing the insight this book has, and it's changed so many people's lives. At the end of chapter 1, there's a section called Releasing Mental Blocks and Core Beliefs. I encourage you to go through that and start asking yourself questions. What do you really want? What's working? What's not working? It helps you get really clear and really identify where you are and, more importantly, where you want to be, as well as what you need to do to get there. So again, themillionaireiinsider.com/7PB. All materials and intellectual property are copywritten by themillionaireseries.com. The information we provide is not intended to replace any advisor or specialist or to provide any investment, financial, tax, retirement, or any planning or healthcare advice. All participants agree to hold millionaireseries.com and its affiliates harmless for results achieved or not achieved. All international copyrights are reserved. So let's dive into the 5 insights. So welcome everyone. It's Annette Bau, founder of millionaireseries.com and the Millionaire Insider Academy, and I want to welcome you to Increasing Results with Integrity. Now, some of you are probably a little shocked by getting that I'm talking about integrity because you're like, well, I'm a really integrous person, if that's even a word. But the reality of it is I'm not talking about integrity when it comes to morality and values. Clearly, that's critical. And I believe in universal laws because I've never seen them fail. And so if you're living out of integrity, you're not living your values and morals, that's a problem. But I find that really kind of takes care of itself because you say one thing and then you support one thing. It's a problem. It's a disconnect. And so if that's an issue, yeah, you got to deal with it. But what I'm not talking about today is something a little different. So let's dive in. What I want to share with you, we're not talking 10% increase in productivity. We're talking 300 to 500% increase in productivity, along with more happiness, more joy, enjoying what you're doing. And you think like, okay, what could it be? Before we dive into it, please turn off any and all distractions. So from being in my performance mastermind, you know we cannot do 2 things at the same time. Multitasking is a myth. It doesn't work. You're doing something with half of your brain, you're not going to get even close to the results you could get by focusing in with all of your brain. So please turn everything off and just focus with us for the next 30, 40 minutes. So how are companies increasing results? By increasing their integrity. And yes, as I mentioned, honesty and trust are critical, but what we're talking about today is honoring your word. Now, this is what's really interesting, is that when I first heard of this professor, it's Dr. Steven Jensen, Harvard business professor, He has an article that's without integrity, nothing works. And when I first listened to it, I'm like, well, of course, that's clearly important, right? But then the more research I did, the more studying I did, and the more present I became, what I realized is this is an issue for a lot of us. And some of you, I'm talking to you because you say, well, I'll get this form to you by this date, or I'll complete my plan by this date. Fast forward to that date, and we still don't have it. And that's what I'm talking about, is we've got to stop, pause, think about what we're committing to, commit, and then execute. When you look in the dictionary for the term integrity, you see it means whole and complete. And once you start being really clear on this, what you're going to find is you're going to be, first of all, you're going to be more careful about what you commit to, but secondly, you're going to find out that you're going to get such better results in every area of your life. And for some of you, I guarantee you're going to be like me. You're thinking like, oh, well, yeah, of course. Now, granted, if you have kids, it's a lot easier, because if you don't do what you say you're going to do, they're going to call you out immediately, right? But I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that you commit on your business plan to make those 10 warm calls a day. And yet, well, I got 13 one day, so then the next day I only did 7. It's like, no, we've got to do 10 every day, a minimum of 10. And the reason it's so important that we do that is because that's what's forming the new neural pathway in our brain. And we know that that old pathway that we've been using for years is always going to be there. The fact that we make excuses, the fact that we don't do what we're supposed to do. Once we form the new neural pathway, we've got to make sure it sticks. How long does it take to make it stick? How long does it take to change a habit? On average, 66 days. So some of you saying 21 days. Let's talk about that. But this is the bottom line. In the book Psycho-Cybernetics, where the plastic surgeon wrote that he would do plastic surgery on a person, he'd fix their nose that had been bothering them for years, but nothing in their life would change. He would fix that really ugly wart on their face, but then they still felt like inadequate. They weren't enough. And what he made a comment of in a major presentation is, what I found is on average, it takes a person about 21 days to change a habit. And because of that, it became gospel. But the reality of it is, he had never done any studying on that. The University of London then came out with probably the most extensive studying that's ever been done, and they said it takes between 18 and 254 days to change a habit, on average 66 days. So approximately 2 months. So once we start honoring our word, it's going to take us on average 66 days to change that and to do what we say we're going to do. So initially it's going to be hard, but as you start incorporating that habit along with doing your warm activities habit, along with completing your plan habit, all those things, what you're going to find is when you don't do it, you feel like you didn't brush your teeth, or you feel like you didn't put one of your shoes on. It's going to feel off and it's going to bother you. That's a good thing, because you're going to get to the point where you're doing it you're doing it unconsciously. You're doing it without even thinking about it. And that's where I want you to get. So, doing what you say you will do and doing what you know you need to do. Dr. Michael Jensen said, an individual is whole and complete when their word is whole and complete, and their word is whole and complete when they honor their word. We can honor our word in one of 2 ways. First, by keeping our word and on time. Or second, as soon as we know that we won't keep our word, we inform all parties counting on us to keep our word and clean up any mess that we've caused in their lives. When we do this, we're honoring our word despite having not kept it, and we have maintained our integrity. So, you commit to doing something, meeting a friend for lunch, and all of a sudden you're caught in traffic and you're thinking, why didn't I leave 5 minutes earlier? you pull over, or if you have a smart car, you call them and you say, I'm so sorry, I'm running 5 minutes late. If you don't know if it's going to be 5 minutes, then say 10 minutes. That is acceptable as long as you are moving forward, making every effort to fix it so it doesn't happen in the future. Same thing with your plan. You commit to 2 hours of studying a week, completing a certain number of forms, you make it a reality. If it doesn't happen, then what you can do is you can report to us. If you're supposed to get us something, for a lot of you that commit and don't, let us know immediately. When will you do it? That's what they're talking about. And this, my friends, is what has had such dramatic increases in productivity, 300 to 500%, as well as a lot more joy, a lot more happiness, feeling better. And initially it seems like, oh, it can't be that big of a deal. It is. So let's look at some insights. Insight number 1, be honest with yourself. We can lie to the world, but we can't lie to ourselves. You know what's right, you know what you need to do, and assuming you've created your plan, right, you've just got to do it. You've got to honor and make sure that what you say and what you commit to is in alignment with what you want to achieve. The issue with some people is they want to achieve X, maybe they want to become financially free, they want to become a millionaire or multimillionaire, but their actions are not in alignment with that goal. We've got to make sure that what we're doing each and every day, our thoughts, our actions, our words are in alignment with what we want to achieve. And then we're living a life of congruency, and then when we state our goal and we program it in our subconscious mind so that our conscious and our subconscious mind are in alignment, anything's possible. That's the power. Insight 2, you have to know your values. As Roy Cox, founder of McDonald's, said, when you know your values, decisions are easy. In your heart of heart, you know what you want, you know what you need to do. Now you just need to do it. And if you don't know, then you need to ask, get support so that you are on the right track. You're not spinning your wheels. You know, you're not in California trying to get to Arizona, but you're on a boat over in Cambodia wondering, well, what do I do now, right? We've got to get on that direct flight. And let me talk about that for 1 minute. This is just fascinating what's happened over the last 2 weeks. And I want to be sensitive to what I'm saying this, but in the last 2 weeks, it's just so happened that there's a geographical area. There's actually 2. One's on the East Coast and one's on the West Coast. And in both cases, we had Excuse Eric, and Eric's not his name, but I'm just going to make names. Excuse Eric. So Eric's got an excuse for everything, and Eric is not doing too great, all right? We've then got complacent Katie, who really has just stayed flat. Nothing much has happened in her life. And then we've got winning Wilbert. And this is what's so fascinating about preparing for this, is winning Wilbert created a plan. Now, he had been in business for a long time, but he created a plan, started taking action on it, and his results, he's up over 50%. Okay? Now, fast forward to the other scenario. Same thing. How hard business is. Everyone's got an advisor. I mean, the stuff I hear over and over again. And I'm like, wow, somewhere along the line, that excuse worked. Because that's what it is, it's an excuse. This person lives about 2 blocks away from our advisor who increased his revenue last year by 72%. So when I heard that excuse, I said, that's really interesting, because right in your neck of the woods, very similar practice, meaning how they charge their fees and commissions, very similar market, and they are rocking and rolling. The only difference that I could see from everything I know is integrity. Knowing your values, doing what you say you're going to do, and doing what you need to do. That, my friends, is so powerful because we can all do that. So I want to tell you about a free resource that I encourage you to go download. It's our Mindset Mastery, how to remove money blocks and create a success mindset. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com/MMG. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/MMG. This resource is going to walk you step by step through what you need to do to remove the blocks that are keeping you from success, as well as what you need to do to create the success mindset to attract what you want. So again, themillionaireinsider.com/MMG. You're going to love this resource. Insight number 3, stop making excuses. Stop rationalizing or justifying your actions. I tell the story of Todd Kay, and I love Todd Kay. Todd Kay was in our group, and Todd Kay was an amazing advisor. He had more excuses than any person I've ever met. And the fascinating thing about him was that his excuses were valid. I mean, they were clearly valid. Like, it wasn't like he was making them up. The issue, though, is that he had stayed flat for years, meaning his income had not grown. And I finally got to the point, meaning I have better things to do with my time. I really don't care how much somebody's paying me. If they're not doing what they need to do, call me in a year, let me know how it's turning out, because you know how it's going to turn out. They're not going to achieve their results, and then they're going to try to blame anyone that's in their vicinity. And I said, you're paying me so much money. You've either got to get rid of these excuses or you got to go. Well, he was so mad at me, like literally, I'm like, I may never speak to this guy again. And he said for 2 weeks, he just was so angry. And he was just like, oh, I cannot believe her. I can't believe this. He said, and then one morning I woke up. And one of the things I always say in my training is, why don't you just ask yourself, what if? What if I started living a life of integrity and doing what I said I was going to do? What if I started doing the activities I needed to do every day, whether I felt like it or not? What would happen? And he goes, your voice kept going off in my head. What if? What if? So I'm like, all right, well, what if? What if I stop making excuses? The email I got from him, and I won't forget it, because the email came in, and when I saw his name, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can only imagine what he's saying. He said, I want to thank you so much. I just had my best quarter in my entire career. I was like, wow, yes. And then we got an email at the end of the year. I just had the best year I've ever had. That, my friends, is what happens when we stop making excuses and stop justifying our actions, and we just do it. And then we are helping so many people that need our help. It changes everything. It changes the trajectory of our lives and of their lives. Insight number 4, stop attempting to please others and stop overcommitting. One of the things that's a challenge is when we know what we need to do, but yet we're always trying to look to please everyone out there. What I find, and my women friends, this is more common with women than men, but some men have this challenge, is that we want to help people. We're nurturers. We help people. We're relationship oriented. We want people to be happy. We're kind of the glue that brings things together. That's great, and that can help us. But if we're doing it without having boundaries on our time and clarity on where we're going, it can be devastating. It can be detrimental. So we've got to get clear on that. And then insight number 5, we've got to be in alignment. Nothing will happen until we're in alignment with our thoughts, our feelings, our words, and our actions. We've got to make sure our conscious mind, which is our prefrontal cortex, is in alignment with our subconscious mind, which is our limbic brain. Because remember, your limbic brain, 2 million years old, there to protect you, to keep you from getting eaten by the wolves, doesn't want you to have this grandiose idea of hitting $1 million in your production this year, or 5 million, or 10 million. It wants to keep you safe. It doesn't want to exert any more calories than it absolutely has to. And what you have to realize is that once you understand this and you become in alignment not only with your conscious and your subconscious mind, but also in alignment with your word, everything is going to change, my friends, literally everything. So let's look at some tips. I want to share with you an upcoming masterclass, the 3 steps to extraordinary success, how to master your mindset and develop your strategy so you can achieve your desired results with your money, with your health, with your wealth, with your life, with your business, anything, literally anything. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com/SMC. Again, that's themillionaireinsider.com/SMC. SMC, Success Masterclass is what it stands for. So in this masterclass, I'm going to literally share with you insight that I have learned over the last 30 plus years of advising and researching the top 1 and 2% of millionaires. And not just millionaires who have money, but millionaires who have amazing lives. What I found early on is there's really two groups of millionaires, ones that have amazing lives and ones that don't. The ones that have amazing lives do things differently. They have a different mindset. They have a different strategy. And that's what I'm going to teach you in this masterclass. So regardless of what you want to achieve or what success you're looking to improve, this masterclass is going to show you how. It's going to show you a simple process, a simple formula that you can apply in literally anything in your life to get better results. And not only have I tested it for over 3 decades, but I have thousands of people who have used this training to really create extraordinary results in their life. And that's what I want to share with you. So again, the 3 steps to extraordinary success. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com/SMC. I'll look so forward to seeing you on that masterclass. So let's look at some tips. Number 1, you want to be true to yourself. And my friends, the only one you're really going to have to answer to is yourself. Now, if you're struggling or you're not where you want to be, yeah, it's affecting your family. But the bottom line is we've got to be true to ourselves, because otherwise we have that feeling inside like we're not enough, that feeling inside like we're not contributing enough, all of those things. And it's never good. It's never optimal. Be true to your word. Do what you say you're going to do. Do what you say you will do at all times. And if you don't, make sure and make it right as soon as you know you can't. Live above the grid. For some of you that haven't yet dove into the members area, in the Worth Barometer training, we talk a lot about a grid. And there's 3 levels, and it's such a game changer. You've got to get above the grid, where your ownership, responsibility. And what's fascinating, what I've found, is that a lot of people don't even know there is a grid. Like I didn't for 35 years. I lived so below the grid, gossip, not doing what you're supposed to do, not keeping my word. I mean, I was so focused on where I was going in my business and in my finances. And I look back and I think, gosh, I really could have done some things differently. And I look at even when I was younger than that, I was so below the grid. It's embarrassing to even think that was me. But the reality of it is I don't care where you are. What I care is what you're doing right now. And I care that you get it, you take the time to get it, and then you take the time to execute it. Because wherever you're operating, below the grid, at the grid, or above the grid, is what you're going to attract. So if you want to attract ideal clients, you've got to be above the grid. That's the power. And then get clear on your values. In the members area, there is a form called Value It, where you can go through and get really clear on your values. And it's really helpful because you start off with, like, say, 15 values, you get down to like 3 or 5. So you know exactly what your values are, and then it makes choices easier. Know where you're going. You've got to get crystal clear on what it is you want to achieve. Most people know what they don't want, but very few people are really clear on what they do want. And know why you're going there. If you're just doing something for money, it's a short-term motivator. And what I can tell you, early on, that was totally where I was. It was just all about the money. And it was all about, you get your first million, you're like, okay, well, nothing's changed. Maybe it's the second million, maybe it's the third million. And you realize on down the road that another million is not the issue. And the more we can be in alignment with the value we're providing, then what ends up happening is you get to where you have more money than you could ever spend in your lifetime, but you love what you do, you're adding so much value that you wouldn't stop it. And you don't stop it. The issue is when you're doing it just for the money, that's a short-term motivator. Our level 3 why is a long-term sustainer. And in the members area, there's also one on your level 3 why. And that's something that's really important, because when we get that, everything changes. How we show up changes, everything changes. And then you need to commit and stay the course. One of the things that I've learned about success and about achieving your goals is there is a lot of it that is boring and mundane. There are days when, like, even say, for instance, today, like yesterday, it would have been a perfect excuse for me to say, I really don't feel up to teaching this class because I don't feel great. Now, if I would have been really sick, I would not have taught it. I went home, I did exactly what I know I need to do, and I woke up this morning, I slept in. I don't on Thursdays because I do recordings, I don't have hard and fast appointments generally. And I felt really at my A game. But the issue is that for a lot of people, it would have been like, oh, I really don't feel good. I'm not going to do it. And obviously, if you're sick, you shouldn't. But at the same time, a lot of times we commit to things that we really could do, but then we have an excuse that's valid and we don't do it. Once we get quiet and we get really clear and we really listen to ourselves, that's when we're in a much better space to do what we need to do so we can achieve our results. Today's episode is brought to you by the 7 Principles of Becoming a Fulfilled and Wealthy Millionaire. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com. That's THE, millionaireinsider.com /7PB. Each chapter is going to provide you insight on what you can do to really create both a fulfilling life as well as a wealthy life. And it's from my 30 plus years of researching and advising the top 1% and 2% of millionaires. It's amazing the insight this book has, and it's changed so many people's lives. So I want to thank you so much for joining me for Increase Results with Integrity, how to increase your success in your life, with your money, or business if you have one. I'm Annette Bau, founder of millionaireseries.com and the Millionaire Insider Channel. All international copyrights are reserved. Bye now.